Cyndi Lauper was tormented and made to stay in poverty for a long time just because she wouldn't change herself to what the industry wanted her to be. But eventually, against all odds, she broke the pattern to become one of the most successful pop singers of all time. But how did she do it, and at what cost? Let's find out while showing you some of her rare photos. Cynthia Ann Stephanie Lauper was born on June 22, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York. Her father, Kristen Lauper, descended from a long line of Swiss revolutionaries, and her mother, Katrine Gallo, was of Italian origin. Unlike most people, Cyndi didn't grow up in a stable home. When she was just 5 years old, her parents divorced. To deal with troubles at home, Cyndi turned to music. Growing up in Queens, she was a huge fan of the Beatles. Judy Garland, one of the most iconic child stars of all time, was also a huge influence on her. As a result, she started writing her own songs as early as age 12. These were played on an acoustic guitar by her elder sister, Ellen. Despite manifesting musical talent so early, Cyndi did not have an easy path into the industry. As a matter of fact, her journey was neither simple nor conventional. In reality, the time from her teenage years to her mid-20s was the most turbulent period of her life. So many events took place during this period that threatened to ruin her forever. Right as Cyndi's musical talent manifested, so did her idiosyncrasy. As a teen, she started to dress eccentrically and change her hair colors. She even changed the spelling of her name from Cyndi to Cindy. While all these changes made Cyndi comfortable within her own skin, they made her life a living hell at school. Students bullied her relentlessly, and sometimes she fought back. Life at home was not much better for Cyndi either. After divorcing her father, her mother remarried a man who was very abusive towards her. Cyndi could not seek refuge from home at school. Neither could she seek refuge from school at home. As such, as anybody would expect, she reached a breaking point. Acting out, Cyndi was expelled from school. This meant that she would have to spend the rest of her days at home with her abusive stepfather. Determined to avoid that fate, Cyndi ran away from home. She was just 17 years old at the time, and it was her dream to become an artist. Cyndi did not have a solid plan when she left home. All she had was a dream. This led her to wander around for a while, so much so that she ended up in Canada. The only companion she had at the time was her dog, Sparkles. Alone with Sparkles, she spent 2 solid weeks in the woods trying to find herself and determine her life's purpose. Unfortunately for her, there was no eureka moment. All she found out was that she could not keep living her life like that. Leaving the woods, Cyndi eventually ended up in Vermont. There, she began to take art classes at Johnson State College. She had little contact with her parents at the time, and so, to support herself, she worked odd jobs at various locations. These jobs were incredibly challenging. In the early 70s, Cyndi finally started to notice some changes toward her desired destination. Propelled by her new work ethic, she finally got to work as a singer. This was by no means the kind of work that was worthy of her talents, but hey, she could finally stop working those odd jobs and support herself with her music. One would assume that this was a turning point in Cyndi's life, that from this moment on, she would rise skyward. Well, this didn't happen. Rather, it turned out to be yet another winter of her life. What happened was, Cyndi finally returned to New York and found success in the local music scene. However, the songs that she sang were by other artists rather than her own songs. This is work she did begrudgingly despite an intense artistic dissatisfaction. Then, in 1977, everything came to a halt when she ended up damaging her vocal cords. Cyndi's throat injury was the absolute scariest thing that ever happened to her. It was so bad that her doctors told her that she would never sing again. This would have meant that every sacrifice that Cyndi ever made to chase her dream would have amounted to nothing, that she would have to settle for a life of unfulfilling drudgery. Determined to avoid this fate, Cyndi did not give up. Taking a year off, she decided to get in touch with vocal coach Katie Agresta. Cyndi's time with Katie was fruitful. After years of slow and frustrating recovery, she finally regained her singing ability. On returning to singing, Cyndi did not want to pick up where she left off. This time around, she wanted to sing her own songs, not other people's songs. Taking her fate into her own hands, she got a manager, Ted Rosenblatt. In 1978, when Cyndi was just 25 years old, Rosenblatt introduced her to saxophonist John Turry. It was through her working relationship with John Turi that her musical career began to blossom, but even then, there were challenges. Together with Turi, Cyndi formed a band known as Blue Angel. The name was likely inspired by the 1930s classic featuring Marlene Dietrich. The band found some measure of success, so much so that Steve Masarski, manager of the Allman Brothers Band, wanted to buy out their contract for $5,000 so he could drive them to greater heights. At this point in her life, Cyndi was doing so well that she started to receive solo offers for a recording contract. However, feeling a sense of loyalty to her band, she refused them all and decided to stick with them. In no time, this loyalty circled back to bite her in the end. Masarski and Turi did not get along, leading the band to break up. Cyndi was so distraught by this that she developed a cyst in her throat. Once again, her voice was gone. This meant that Cyndi, who had once again had the floor yanked out from underneath her feet, went tumbling downwards. After years of hard work, she was right back where she started. It took months of recovery before she regained her singing ability again. To combat financial troubles, Cyndi returned to working odd jobs. Though she had vowed never to be in that situation again, life had thrown her a curveball. During this time, Cyndi worked at IHOP. However, she was so disinterested in the work that she was demoted. She eventually quit when her manager made a pass at her. At night, Cyndi tried to keep up the grind by singing at local bars. One of her frequent destinations was a club known as El Sombrero. While performing there, music critics caught her live and went on to write about her vocal prowess. She was a 4-octave singer who many predicted to be a star. Little did they know just how right they would turn out to be. In 1981, while singing in a New York bar, Cyndi met David Wolff. Wolff was so impressed with her talent that he signed her on then and there, then had her sign a recording contract with Portrait Records, a subsidiary of Epic Records. Finally, things had fallen into place for Cyndi, and she was ready to release her first solo album. On October 14, 1983, when Cyndi was 30 years old, she released She's So Unusual out into the world. On this project, Cyndi embraced everything that made her weird and quirky, rather than trying to change her image to fit into the industry. This worked so well that the album became a worldwide hit. It peaked at number 4 inside the US and reached the top 5 in 8 other countries. It also made Cyndi the first woman to occupy 4 of the top 5 hits on the Billboard 100. 2 of the biggest hits from She's So Unusual are Time After Time and Girls Just Want to Have Fun, the first being a romantic ballad and the other being a pop anthem. These songs did so well that they are still a major part of pop culture today. As old as they are, Cyndi's talent gave them undying appeal. From this point forward, the floodgates of success opened wide for Cyndi Lauper. She won Best New Artist at the Grammys, providing her with even more opportunities. Every time the industry pressured her to change, she leaned further into the idiosyncrasies that made her who she is. After all, it was only by being true to herself that she faced off challenge after challenge. Today, Cyndi Lauper is recognized as one of the greatest musical artists of all time. So far, she has sold 50 million records worldwide. She has also won a Grammy Award, an Emmy Award, and a Tony Award. As an inductee into both the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Hollywood Hall of Fame, Cyndi's story serves as a major inspiration to many. A reminder that no matter how tough the world gets, don't let it change you. Be yourself, work hard, and eventually, you will attract the people and opportunities you deserve. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll also enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.